BEVIS, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by the last here in New Hampshire, Manchester. First US trip for 18 months and you've dragged me to the middle of nowhere, but I really like it.
Man like BEVIS in New Hampshire. The State Athletic Commission just came up to me and said, thank you so much for coming here. Can I just let you know this is the biggest sporting event in the history of our state? And I was like, that sounds like an Eddie Hearn line. And he went, no, it is. He said, of course, by far the biggest boxing event ever in New Hampshire, but honestly, by far the biggest sporting event. 4 World Championship boxing fights, huge crowd. I was like, mate, can you come up and do a bit with me on the presser? So I'm going to roll that line out tonight. Different place, of course, just an hour from Boston, a little bit less. We couldn't get into Boston for this fight. Sorry to the New Hampshire team for mentioning that, but so we came here. Demetrius has boxed here a couple of times before. You know what? It's good to come somewhere where it is a major event. Last time we were in Providence with Demetrius, we had like 8,000 or 9,000 for the Seletsky fight. It was brilliant. And I'm really excited about the card. I think it's not a sleeper because people in boxing know it's a great card anyway. But I'm excited about the main event. Of course, Julio Cesar Martinez against Arroyo, Akhmadaliev, and the other semi-finals to the road to undisputed. So big card. And thank you, IFL, for joining us in Manchester, New Hampshire.
The real Manchester.
Which, by the way, when I made the fight for Julio Cesar Martinez, Eddie Reynoso called me up and said, wow, we're fighting in Manchester. I'm not sure I can make it. And I said, no, it's in New Hampshire. So there's also a film called Manchester. Really good film. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that, no. I mean, I didn't even know this Manchester existed, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It's award-winning. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The problem for you, Oscar, this week in Manchester is they just don't appreciate Sergio Tacchini. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have a major... Are you single?
I am single at the moment, so I'm on the market.
Okay, so you don't mind me talking about the potential for you here in Manchester. I went out for dinner last night, a lovely place called Cotton. If you're ever in Manchester, check it out. I've got to say, the age group for you, it wasn't a good sign. Today you've got Elise on, or Alessi, whatever you want to call it, Alessi, yeah? Sergio Tacchini, I don't know. And I don't think their favourite film of all time is going to be Green Street, like you. Do you know what I mean? So the problem for you is going to be the chat, right? Because you're going to go down, oh yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I was at Chelsea away the other week, I had the Tacchini on. I'll tell you what, I was absolutely on fire. And they're going to be going, what? You know what I mean? So you've just got to, watch the film Manchester. At least you could maybe go up and go, when you slide over at the bar, hey, how you doing? I'm from England. Hey, I was watching the film Manchester in my room this morning. Rather than, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's Man City away next week, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, just a bit of advice for you, mate.
Thanks, I will take that on board. I've got to say one thing. Me, Ryan and Lever went for a few beers on the Monday and we went into the same bar on the Tuesday and apparently it's already like folklore that 3 Brits went to 3 different bars and had a few beers. So I think I am legend in Manchester.
Well, sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond. So, like for you, for example, if you were in Essex and, you were trying...
I'm a nobody in London, let's face it.
That's a bit harsh, Bevis.
I'm a face down Chelsea, but I'm nobody in London. We'll have it.
But out here, you could be a major player. Do you know what I'm saying? Once you drop the Alessi and the Tacchini, and probably a bit of Kappa, you could be on fire in Manchester. So that's my mission for the week. A lot of Irish coming this week. They reckon close to sort of 600-700 Irish coming over for Quigley, not just from Ireland, but from Boston and New York as well. So, do you know what I mean? I think there's potential for you. I think we should do another one on fight day or something like that to get a recap of BEVIS on BEVIS on the pool, BEVIS on the hunt, whatever you want it to be. And ladies of Manchester, I would just like to say, be careful this week if you see a young man in Alessi, Tacchini or Kappa roaming around the streets of Manchester looking to discuss the film or Chelsea away.
Thanks, Ed. I really needed that pep talk. Thank you very much. Thank you. Demetrius, right, I've got a feeling like he's kind of got his back up because, I haven't interviewed him yet. I know what I'm going to talk to him about. He probably knows what I'm going to talk to him about. Canelo, Golovkin. It's kind of like, I'm sensing a bit of a pissed Demetrius Andrade who is looking to put on a proper performance on Friday.
Yeah, we're all a bit pissed, really, because obviously you want a fighter as good as Demetrius Andrade to be in those career-defining fights, and we haven't been able to deliver it. I saw him retweet something yesterday where they were kind of blaming me. I guess you have got to blame me, because I'm his promoter. But I don't know what the answer is. You can't force someone to fight someone. you can overpay them. You can pay them money they've never made before, and we've done that, and they still didn't want to fight them. So I don't know what the answer is. You know, we've offered him to take part in big fights away from the zone or on Showtime, or give Charlo unifications or fight Golovkin. So I don't know the answers other than keep paying him well and keep him busy. So we're doing our job in that respect, but I guess we're not doing our job in delivering him the legacy and career-defining fights. But I don't know the answer or the solution to that if people won't physically step in the ring for him. And I have to say, there have been times where his performance hasn't been overly exciting. He started well, and I think on Saturday he needs to go out and make a statement, because that is what is going to help you to maybe land those kind of fights. But at the same time, it might scare people away. Like, I look at the Liam Williams fight, and even the Luke Keeler fight, and maybe the Akavov fight, and say, well, is he unbeatable? And I feel that people don't ask the question enough of others. Charlo, why aren't people saying to Charlo, why aren't you an undefeated American world middleweight champion fighting another undefeated American world champion in a tremendous fight? You look at Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia was the WBO light middleweight champion of the world. Now, when you move up a weight class with the WBO, you automatically become mandatory. Now, he specifically asked the WBO not to become mandatory to Demetrius Andrade. Okay, I get it. Maybe you give him a pass that he needs a fight or two. But what's he had, 4 fights? And now he comes out and says, well, hopefully now I'll get an eliminator. Now he's got to fight Derevyanchenko in an eliminator to fight for the world title. Why don't you just fight Demetrius Andrade? You were his mandatory. You're with the same platform. It's such an easy fight to make. We can do it on your turf. Sound like you, Oscar, you know what I mean? Do it on your turf, mate. We can do it.
Come to your manor and we'll have you.
Yeah, well, nice. We'll go to California, whatever. I don't, and that's a really good fight. So, I don't know. And but people shouldn't just get away with using the excuse, oh, well, he's just not a draw. He is a draw. We had 8,000 in Providence. We'll have 6,000 or 7,000 here in New Hampshire this week. He's making money. So you can't say he's not a draw. He has a belt. Normally they'd say, well, he doesn't have a belt. He has a belt. But I don't know what else to say or do, really, other than keep making people big offers, keep offering this guy out to be in big unifications. But we've got to do something. And I'm pleased with this fight. It's a good fight. And I'm pleased Jason Quigley's got the opportunity. He's a good fighter. Irish will give it absolutely everything on Friday night. But the danger for Demetrius is actually looking past Jason Quigley, because all people are talking about, all he's talking about is, why won't this guy fight me? Why won't this guy fight me? And he's got a young, hungry guy in Quigley that he's going to have to beat.
Yeah, really good fight at the top of the card, and I'm expecting Quigley, from speaking to him yesterday, to just bring heat. So I'm looking forward to that. Quick one on the rest of the card. I know you love Ellerbe. He's such a little character. He looks so harmless, but even when he talks, you can tell he's got that spite. Kaylee Reese, I think she's a real character with star potential with the other semi-final. Good card.
Akhmadaliev as well against Velasquez, really good fight. I think that when you talk about avoided fighters, Murodjon Akhmadaliev is right up there. I mean, what's he had? 9 fights. He's the unified world super bantamweight champion. He's a pound for pound fighter now. You just haven't seen it yet, and he's got to beat other opposition as well. And Daniel Roman was a fantastic win. Julio Cesar Martinez, for me, can be a pound for pound great. I think this guy is a pound for pound fighter, but when it comes to entertainment, he is a real star. He's never in a bad fight. Obviously, he came over to England in the Charlie Edwards fight. You saw him win the World Championship in Arizona. He's defended it a few times. He's been up and down with his weight. Sometimes he hasn't had the discipline that I wanted him to, but he's another guy that we need to make the big fights count. So this is a mandatory challenge. It's a brilliant fight against Arroyo. It's Mexico against Puerto Rico. I'm fine with this fight, and I think it'll be a brilliant fight. But after that, he must unify. And ultimately, I want him to fight Juan Francisco Set Estrada. Move up a weight, and that's a massive all-Mexican fight. But I really feel like this kid, we need to understand his story as well. He comes from a tough place, mate, in Mexico City. They were telling me about this place where he comes from, and he can really fight. And Kaylee Reese, you're right. I think she's a star. She worked with us on the broadcast with DAZN a couple of weeks ago. I thought she was brilliant. She's got a really tough fight against Jessica Kamara, and the winner fights Chantel Cameron for the Undisputed Championship. So, big card. Dempsey McKean, a big Australian heavyweight new signing, makes his Matchroom US debut. Khalil Coe on the card as well. Look out for him. And a couple of local fighters as well. So it's a really good card.
Yeah, looking forward to Friday night, and like we said before, just kind of nice to go on somewhere that I wouldn't go on holiday, like a bit of a new experience. So, all good. Right, the juice, the WBC convention. We'll start with the Dillian and Tyson situation. So, essentially, trying to make it as basic as possible, it looks like Dillian and the lawsuit is blocking Dillian from having or being mandatory for Tyson Fury's world title. Talk to me.
Not quite. I mean, I think that the truth is without the lawsuit, would he have even been called for the mandatory by the WBC? I think the answer is probably no, or certainly with the terms that he would want. But you are right, the legal case in the arbitration has to make its decision. And we believe it will be a more favourable position than it would be from a standard WBC ruling. But, you know, the WBC yesterday said, look, we can't make a ruling because of this ongoing situation. I get it. We're very confident that the ruling will be in the best interests of Dillian Whyte, bearing in mind the circumstances, and he will be called as the mandatory challenger to Tyson Fury. Bit disappointing that, you know, it didn't take place yesterday, but, you know, Dillian and his team have been working hard behind the scenes, and yeah, we're very confident that the legal matter will be resolved and he will be the mandatory for Tyson Fury.
One thing that seems to be confusing a lot of people is it seems like there's a lot of rules within the WBC that at their discretion, in quote marks, can basically be overruled. So it's like there's rules that kind of aren't rules. And did you see, like, am I making sense? Or?
Yeah, that's called boxing. No, I think that maybe that's one of the reasons why the legal route is the better route, you know? So that there's no goalpost moving, there's no doubt as to when this fight is ordered, it's going to take place. But, you know, I think everyone's in a tough spot, to be honest with you. You know, but I just feel that Dillian Whyte's got to get what he deserves. I don't think there's anyone in boxing that doesn't agree Dillian Whyte should get a shot at the world heavyweight title. Maybe top rank. Maybe they're the only people. And, you know, we'll see what the arbitrators believe. And then, as I said, very confident from our side that he will be called as the mandatory for Tyson Fury.
Does the split come into play with the arbitration? Will that be decided?
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly. I mean, you know, that's almost secondary to the fight being ordered. And, you know, the interim champion can receive up to 45% of a split. And I believe it should be towards those kind of levels. We saw Top Rank, you know, talk about 20%. I think that's outrageous. But again, I think that's something to be left to them. You know, the problem is time. We need to move forward, and it is closing in. And as I said, confident that it will be a ruling that's fair to Dillian Whyte.
So are we talking about potentially in the first third of 2022 then, or?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we'd like to get that. As I said, I think it's closing in. I don't think we're far away from a decision in that respect, and we'd like to make that fight early next year. You know, Dillian Whyte's ready for that fight. Probably in the early part of next year, he should resume training in the next couple of weeks. He's got a little bit more treatment, and then he'll be good to go. Good to get back into camp, and then start preparing for a shot at Tyson Fury. That's what we want. That's what I believe is fair, and that's what I believe will happen.
Canelo Alvarez, the man just doesn't cease to amaze. I think people were thinking if Canelo was to do something next, he kind of needs to do something outrageous because he is just kind of too good at 168. But this is very outrageous. It's cruiserweight, mental really.
Yeah, I think with Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, they want challenges. You know, they want to dare to be great, which is tremendous for the sport. And the Makabu fight is a cruiserweight fight that would give him another world championship victory. Would get a lot of people talking, as it did do last night. And I think it's a good option for him. I think it's a dangerous fight. You know, I'm speaking to Tony Bellew, who could be looking real good in a few months if this happens. And he said that Makabu is a huge puncher, and very strong. So, but that's, you know, I think that when you look at Saul, you know, the Golovkin fight is a huge fight. Financially, a lot of people would want to see that fight. Does that motivate him? You know, I think he could become undisputed at 175. And I like that plan. But there is also the cruiserweight division. Listen, he could move up and fight heavyweight. I mean, he could fight, you know, I mean, Usyk's not a massive heavyweight. Trevor Bryan's a world champion. You know, can he compete against those guys? But cruiserweight first maybe, but I like the fight with Makabu. I think it's a dangerous fight, but it's an exciting fight. And as I said, Sal and Eddie are about making history. And they're not interested in just having normal, boring fights. Every fight has to mean something. And yeah, it caused a lot of interest, obviously.
Just from your side in the involvement you've had from Canelo, I was with you yesterday when the WBC was sort of going through their ruling. We was just sitting there, just having a general chat. And I know it must be just generally exciting from your side, knowing that there is potential future involvement, and you're just waiting to see what someone is going to do next to make history.
Yeah, I think that from our point of view, we need to be really aggressive to try and bring Canelo back to the zone, and that comes by options. We could do the Makabu fight, of course. We don't represent Makabu. Someone else could do the Makabu fight. We've got Bivol, of course. We represent Bivol. That's a big fight at 175. Gennady Golovkin's on DAZN. We can deliver that as well. So there's lots of options from us, but there's lots of options from everybody. Benavidez, Charlo. I'm sure there's a top-ranked fight out there as well. So I think that he's in a great position because he's got all these people saying, right, how do we bring Saul to our platform? And that's why his free agency works really well in this position. And the Makabu fight could land on any platform, I guess, because he's not, I know he's a promoter, but he's not aligned specifically to one, and he's in a good position. Makabu, he's probably woke up this morning thinking, what a touch.
I've seen a quote that he said he is game for that fight, and I was thinking, of course you bloody are. Yeah. I'm game for that fight.
Yeah. Not as many people would watch that one, Oscar. But I think that...
Might do if I'm wearing this to the presser,
there'll be a lot of people in West London watching it. I think... I don't think it's I don't think it's a given that fight happens next, because I think he's going to look at his options, but it's an option, and I think people would watch it. I think it's very exciting.
Leonard Ellerbe, I know he's never been your biggest fan because he said things in the past, but this time he has just straight up told you to fuck off.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny because his face was like half in the zoom, and Gervonta just there laughing, and he's just like, yeah, fuck Eddie Hearn or whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's flattering, really. I guess why everyone's still talking about me. Someone told me yesterday, that the security in Vegas were told not to let you anywhere, and I'm thinking it's really flattering because you got to be so bothered about me, I am there, I'm in the head rent-free in those guys. There's no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to dislike me. We can work together, but there's got to be something about me that really eats you up inside. Because I said, like Stephen Espinoza, he blanked my handshake in at the Canelo fight, and he likes all these tweets like where people slate me. I just think, how ingrained am I in your mind for you to be so bothered? Like, I like Stephen Espinoza, I've got on with him all right, but something's happened where they just can't stand me. Maybe it's my fault, I don't know. But it's flattering at the same time. And hopefully these people keep talking about me because, Oscar talking about me, Leonard talking about me, Espinoza talking. It's great for my profile in the US because I'm still trying to get that traction. We're doing a great job, but anything helps. So I'll just encourage them to keep hating on me, keep talking about me, and it's all going rather well.
In all fairness, it was in response to a question about Devin Haney and Tank, which is quite a valid question.
The thing is again, going back to you guys and the media, I'm not saying you specifically, but basically the question was asked was, Eddie Hearn said that Devin Haney would step in and fight him. Why wouldn't you look at that fight? Because it's a much bigger fight than Isaac Cruz. What's wrong with that question? Who would you rather watch? Tank against Devin Haney or Tank against Isaac Cruz?
It's quite a good replacement fight, but Tank and Devin Haney is a better fight, yeah.
Wound him up so much, I don't know if it's my name or what it is, that he's just exploded. Why don't you just go, to be honest with you, that's a great fight we're looking at for the future, but we had 4 or 5 weeks and we felt that it was easier to make this fight certainly a fight we'd love to look at in the future. Instead, he went, fuck Eddie Hearn, But again, I like Leonard. I think Leonard's great. I think he's great. He is. He's great for the sport. Listen, his shoes aren't great all the time, but that's okay. We can fix them. But I think he's great, and I think Mayweather Promotions are doing a good job. I think they've done a really good job with Gervonta Davis. I think he's a star. So there's no hate from here, but it's obviously something I do winds them up so bad. Maybe it's just the British style and sense of humour and banter that, I don't know. But again, I apologise to all those guys, but I don't know why they feel that way.
It is a very different sense of humour, isn't it, like from here to the States. So I have noticed that between the two. Maybe
that's the problem. Because there is... Listen, when I went out the other week, and it weren't just from Espinoza and Showtime and Aram, and, it was... it's from the whole industry of promoters, you know, and rival promoters and rival networks and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm really not trying to get on anyone's nerves or under anyone's skin. So I apologise if I'm doing it. But I don't know why you want to think and talk about me so much. If I'm so irrelevant and, you know, Matchroom have failed so badly in America and all DAZN, it's on the way out. Why are you so bothered? You know why? Because it ain't true. That's why. But anyway, we'll see.
Anyway, quick one. Joshua Buatsi, he's injured, essentially. Yeah, shame.
Gutted. Good fight. Replaced it with a Lee McGregor signing, of course, which is a great signing for us. Defend his European title, but disappointed with Buatsi. A couple of damaged tendons, and he will need an operation, which he'll go in for, I think, in the next week or so, and he'll be out probably till March or April of next year. So big blow, because really I felt that the Vlasov fight was just the last piece of the puzzle before he gambled. I mean,
Will that still be the fight before the gamble?
Possibly, yeah. I love the fight. I mean, someone messaged me yesterday saying, you knew he might lose, so you got him to pull out. It's like, yeah, it's just definitely. So I think that's a good fight to reschedule, or he just goes straight in for a world title, you know. But hopefully a swift recovery.
Just a quick one, actually. Final thing. I wasn't there at the Sheffield show. I was at another show, but I just want to sort of a minor recap, if you will, because speaking to everyone, they said that's the most shock they've seen you after a show for quite a while, probably since New York. I imagine.
It was an unbelievable show. I mean, shows don't have to always go your way to be an unbelievable show. You know, of course, you always want your guys to win and the Brits to win and stuff like that, but sometimes things happen that send shockwaves around the sport that bring so much attention to that show and eyeballs to that and create so much hype that defeats and upsets and amazing knockouts are all part and parcel of the drama of boxing. And, you know, I think you unleashed a star in Alicia Baumgardner and a tremendous story in Kiko Martinez. You know, I'm gutted for Terry, gutted for Kid Galahad. You know, we've been talking to those guys. Both Kiko and Alicia Baumgardner now working with Matchroom, because that's the way it works with the options on fighters that get voluntary defences. And there's big opportunities for them. You know, we're talking to Steffi Ball about the road back for Terry Harper, talking to Kid Galahad about the road back, possible rematch, whatever it's going to be. But, you know, for Kiko Martinez, he walks into the world of a Lara fight, a Kid Galahad rematch, a Josh Warrington fight, a Navarrete unification. You know, it's quite amazing. And for Baumgardner, she walks into a Choi unification, a Harper rematch, a massive fight with Michaela Meyer. Massive all-American, undisputed fight could end up being. So congratulations to them. And that's the beauty of the sport. We can't just see homegrown fighters win every single fight. It's great for boxing to see, you know, an international fighter come up and cause an upset. But just a bit of a kick in the nuts that the two people that you'd rather see win. But congratulations to them, and it was a brilliant show. You know, I showed it on paper. A lot of people said, it could be average Matchroom show. It was one of the best shows we've done in a long time because of the drama.
All right, Ed, thank you very much for giving me some of your time. We move on to the press conference and then the rest of the week in New Hampshire. Thank you for having me, and pleasure.
A couple of days, yeah? On you.
I've got a feeling it's not going to go very well, so I think we'll swerve the update. If it goes well, I'll come on camera for the update.
We're going to have the update anyway. I think we're going out for dinner tonight. You might be joining us as well, but let's see how you get on. You know, you're living a dream, mate. It's the BEVIS Worldwide Tour, and this stop is New Hampshire. Let's see what we can make of it.
Well, now McCart's not double vaccinated, you're going to be seeing a lot of me on these shorts. There you go.
Good boy.
Sweet, Ed.
Good, mate.
One.